This is A-Game. Fast acting, long lasting, with no side effects.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your host, femininity coach, and author of The Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective, and welcome to the Harlem Review from a Black feminine perspective, and we are finally on to episode 1. If you want to check out all of the different things, the exposés that I did about the show, you can go ahead and check them out. I did one about Black women in Hollywood and the tropes, and I also did one that was centering on the Masuo tribe and that whole civilization and how that matriarchal civilization was set up because it was referenced in the pilot of the show Harlem, starring Meagan Good along with her other co-stars. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over episode 1. So we open up, of course, with Camille, who is Meagan Good's character, who is a professor at Columbia. And she is running a class. It's basically almost like gender studies, right? Like a gender studies type of class. And so she opens up making her whole point about the Masuo, which I already covered. And so as she makes her points, her cap is lies, by the way, about the nature of the Masuo tribe and all of this other jazz. It pans out into her giving this as a lecture to her class, okay? And so before we kind of go there, well, no, not before we go there. Her assignment for the class was to be Masuo. Now, mind you, it's men and women in that class. And so to be Masuo, in terms of her definition of it and how the class is supposed, what the assignment is supposed to be, she basically tells the women to be the boss and the men have to submit without question to everything that women say, right? And until next time that they meet in class. Now, that in and of itself should raise your hackles, because what kind of assignment is that where you tell all the women in the class, be the boss, whatever the boss is? And we know that a lot of gynocrats got a lot of different ideas about what a boss is. None of them are really true. None of them are based in any type of reality, but whatever. And the men have to submit to the women without question. Now, this is something that women slow down, they wasn't going to do. And now all of a sudden they want the men to do it without any type of question. And this is supposed to be some type of social experiment or homework assignment that somebody's supposed to get something out of. Girl, if you don't knock it off, ain't nobody going nowhere doing nothing with no female. Say these women out here crazy, and that's not in the nature of a man anyway. Anyway, so after class, a student of hers, a young Black man by the name of Malik, comes up to her, right? And obviously he likes her. Obviously he's attracted to her, okay, sexually. So he like kind of comes on to her after all of the students are filing out. He comes on to her, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, what's good with that thing? That's not exactly what he said, but that's what he meant. And so basically she turns him down, right? She turns him down. And she turns him down on the basis of it's against the school rules because she's his teacher. And then she puts as number 2 reason that it's against her moral code. So he just kind of look at her like, yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? And so he's like, well, okay. You know, he leaves it alone for then. And he leaves the class, right? So then as the show go on, it shows her and she's giving this whole diatribe. She's, you know what I'm saying? She's, this is when she was going into work and riding the train and all of that. And she was talking about the options for Black women, for professional, educated Black women being slim in the dating market. Okay. And she was saying something real interesting about that. She was talking about how it's slim because the men have more options than the women do. And so therefore, since the men have more options, the pickings are slim for the educated or, higher up the echelon Black women. And so the scene shows all these Black women on the train commuting, and a handsome professional Black man is also commuting, and he walks past, he's on the train, he walks past to a seat, and all their heads turn, right? And then she's like, oh, and we want them not out of desperation, but we just want the men out of desperation. You just said it was hard for y'all to find a man, a reputable man. So y'all desperate. So ain't nobody got time for that. Boop, the whole show is capped. They should have, instead of naming it the pilot, they should have named it the cap. Because the whole thing is capped. Everything is capped. But anyway, I get to my overall opinion later on. Now, then she says, after they show that scene with the guy walking past and everybody's head turned, right? Then all the ladies get on their phone and try to expand their search on like the various different dating apps, right? You can see it, they had a little pop-up. That's what all the women were doing. And she was like, well, here's the thing. We either have to make concessions, like widen our, standards by dropping some of these expectations that we have of men so that we can actually find a man, or we hold on to our dumb little list. She didn't say it was dumb. We hold on to our list of standards and we go for what we know and go for what we deserve and, be Masuo, all of that crap, right? Which really translates into this. And this is the type of stuff that you hear on social media all the time. And that's one reason why I don't like and I like the show. I like it for certain different reasons, right? Because it really does accentuate the cap. It accentuates it. It really brings it out. And as the show goes on and as we do these reviews, you'll understand exactly how it brings all of that out. But the problem is that she, in that statement of saying, well, we could lower our expectations because our expectations are kind of ridiculous. So we could expand our horizons. We could think of things a little bit differently, which would actually resolve our so-called problem of not being able to find a man. We actually could resolve the problem. The only thing that we need to do is be more realistic about what's out there, what we expect, what's good for us, what kind of relationship we can actually have or should actually have. But what we're gonna do, instead of resolving the problem the way every other woman resolves her problem of not being able to find a man, by taking a look, well, what do I want? Well, what's going on with me that I can't seem to find all these things? Are my expectations too unreasonable? And there isn't such thing. And the problem is a lot of women don't think that their expectations are unreasonable. And it's a lot of Black women that they don't think. All you got to do is listen to Kevin Samuel's show. And these women are coming on looking like who done it with fuss. Some of them put together, some of them not, or whatever. Some of them are pretty. Some of them are less so, not as attractive or what have you. And all of them got these astronomical expectations about what men should do and what men are. And what you have one over there talking about the purpose of men is to just live. Anyway, getting back to the show. So it's important to note that Camille's boss, Camille's supervisor, is promising her tenure at the school so that she can become a tenured professor there as soon as the school budget allows, because Camille has been there for years without that recognition, without that tenure. Okay. And it's important when you are pursuing your professorship to actually have tenure, right? That's like having seniority in the school, right? It's a rank. So her supervisor, which is a white woman, is telling her, sure, I got you on some we women, we together type situation. I got you. Okay. As soon as the school budget does what it does, and they allot our department, the money that we need to, I'll be able to give you the salary that comes with that rank, and then you'll have that title. So Camille is like almost secured in getting that position. She's not really worried about it. She can see it on the horizon. So now, then she goes, the scene flips to Camille and the rest of her girlfriends meeting up over lunch, right? So it's Camille, it's Ty, which is the L word lady. She's the alphabet. Angie is the dark skinned, kind of heavy set, real entitled and really slutty friend. And then we've got I know her real name, Grace. Oh, what's the character's name? Anyway, we've got Quinn. We've got Quinn, who is, she's the privileged woman. She grew up, in some sort of wealth because of her family, because of her parents who were immigrants who came, they struggled, they made it, they became wealthy, they raised her in that way, right? Okay, so she was telling them about how Malik came on to her and how she turned him down. And so Angie was like, I'd have threw him over the desk. You know what I'm saying? And I would have thrown him on the desk and had him on the desk. So everybody laughs and yucks it up, but this gives you a peek into Angie's thought pattern and Angie's character and how she even rolls or operates or does anything at all, right? So we understand immediately from that scene how Angie is. Angie is the sexual, she gonna have sex with whomever. If he strike her fancy in any way, shape, or form, she gonna give it up. Okay. Like I said before, Angie is the one that will give top to a random Uber driver because she thought he was cute. Okay. So that's her. That's Angie. So they kind of overlook all of this stuff. Each one of them overlook the obvious flaws of the other, right? So as they walking home from the lunch, it's Camille and Angie. So Camille and Angie are walking, talking. So Camille sees Ian, and like I said, Ian is is Beanie from Having a Have Nots. I actually like that actor. So she sees Ian, right, and she gets shook because she wasn't expecting him to be in town because Ian had left the country in order to become a chef. So she's shook and she's trying to avoid him because she doesn't want to see him. She doesn't want to deal with him. She doesn't want to face all of the things in the past that happened and all of that type of stuff because Camille is a coward. Camille is a liar and a coward. So later on, they all go and meet up and go to the movies. It's just some real forever alone type stuff, right? All of them, right? So she tells them about how she saw Ian. So all of them are just looking at her like, you gonna talk to him or whatever. So she characterizes their breakup as if she says he ran away to become a chef, as if he left her high and dry. And then in the same breath, a couple of sentences later, she admits to having ended it. And it's like she's saying it like she's proud of it. Well, I ended it with him. You know what I'm saying? I ended it with him. And her friends know and realize that she's miserable because they bring up, they're like, well, you haven't had a date though since then. And that was, we learned later that was 5 years ago. That was years ago, right? That wasn't, you didn't break up with him yesterday, right? So her friends know she's lying. Her friends know she's capped about how she's okay and, you know, don't bother her and yada, yada, yada. But going back to her trying to characterize, well, I broke up with him, as if that gives her a position of power. And I touched on that in another live stream about how Black women like to control the relationship. And since they can't control whether or not they're in a relationship, they like to control the endings of them. Okay? Because they don't get to dictate to men whether or not you're in a relationship with that man. That's his decision, whether or not y'all are in a relationship. Men actually define relationships. I don't care how liberal you are. I don't care what kind of progressiveness you are. You can't, when it get down to it, you can't tell a man, you can't tell him, well, we in a relationship now. Because if he say, no, you're not. Well, we exclusive. No, you don't get to dictate that. Even if he smile and nod. If that's not how he feel about it, if that's not what he says about it, if he don't come to you like that, then you're not in a relationship. And women actually know that. Black women, we intrinsically know that. So what we'll do is we'll get into the relationships and we will decide that we hold the cards on ending it, since we didn't hold the cards on starting it. And because of those control issues being at the root of a lot of our relationships with men, this is why you see that the divorce rate is initiated almost to 80% by women. Beg to be in a marriage and then exit out of it no sooner than you can. So in this conversation, everybody's kind of talking about their own dating experiences after Camille mentions about Ian and all of this type of stuff. And so Ty, which is the alphabet, she is talking about she is trying to date this other lady who is out of the realm of what she usually dates. Now, going back to Ty, when they were at the lunch earlier in the show, in the episode, Ty is sitting there with them eating, and then all of a sudden she's texting, right? Okay. And then suddenly she leans back, she pulls her pants, and she snaps a shot of her kitty cat and sends it. Public, mind you. They at the lunch table in a crowded venue. They all sitting at the table. She eases back, scoots back, snap. And so everybody's like, are we supposed, so Quinn says it. Quinn's like, are we supposed to ignore that happened? And they proceed to ignore that happened. And so they start talking about Ty's choice in women, that she like Instagram models, she like IG models. Like, okay, Ty is the toxic masculine. Ty has every trait that the modern woman says she don't like in men, and she say that's toxic masculinity. She actually has every single trait, right? Every one of them. She run through females. She don't care. All this other type of stuff. None of her relationships are ever serious. She's a smash and grab. She's a pump and dump. She's the pump and dump. So when we fast forward to the scene where they're sitting in the movie theater, Ty is saying how she's trying to date this other woman and it's a little bit more serious, and this woman isn't like an IG model. She is a boss like Ty, and she's butch. So everybody looks at her because Ty like feminine, right? Ty likes feminine, girly girls. So everybody looks at Ty like, that's out of your character. Like, what's going on? She's like, yeah, I know, but it seems kind of solid, you know, and I wanna keep dating her because I like her. So they show a gratuitous sex scene between Ty and the woman that she's newly dating. Now, Ty don't waste no time getting in bed with nobody. You know, that's not what she do. She don't waste no time. So they show the sex scene, and so Ty's the one that has to go down on the other one, right? So the other one, Shayla is her name. She pulls one of Ty's moves. She like, yeah, you know, I got mine. So she like, man, I gotta go. So Ty was like, I just dislocated my jaw on you. What you mean you gotta go? She's like, I gotta go. No, I can't stay here. I got business to take care of. I gotta go get in the office. I gotta, like I have things to do. I'm not staying here cuddling with you. Who told you I was cuddling with you? So basically, Ty is getting a dose of her own medicine. The stuff she do to the other females is actually being done to her. So she feels some type of way about it. All right. But we'll get back to Ty. So later on, after the whole movie thing and all of that type of stuff, Malik, the student that came on to Camille, sees her in the gym. And like, this is like the next day or whatever. He sees her in the gym. So she's on her treadmill. So he comes up next to her on the treadmill with some gray sweatpants. Now, ladies, y'all know what gray sweatpants mean? That's like lingerie for men. Okay? Especially if he got something to prove in some gray sweatpants. Okay? Gray sweatpants is like, okay? But he got on some sweats. Okay? I don't know what it is about the gray ones. It's just the gray ones. The black ones don't do it. The blue ones don't do it. Just the gray ones. It is what it is. Okay? But anyway, he show up with some gray sweatpants on, right? So she immediately zeroes in because he bodied up. He bodied. So she looking like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Like, whoa. So he like smiling like, yeah, I know you digging it. So he basically comes to tell her that he left her class, right? So he's no longer her student. So she's like, oh, well, I'm sorry that you didn't like my class. She's trying to play dumb kitty about it. She know why he did that. He was like, no, I love your class. He's like, but, I'm trying to check up on you, though. Okay? And the reason he came back at it, even though she told him no, was because he sensed the desperation in her. And she actually told the truth to him in a way she didn't anticipate. Because when he came on to her at the end of class, she didn't rebuff him and say, no. I'm not that woman. That's against my moral standard. We're not doing that. Now get out of my class. Don't do that, a young man. And then bring up, and it's against school rules. She said the school rules first, which was actually indicative that was the most important part. Her moral character could be compromised at any time, but her job, she didn't want to compromise. So he solved the problem by not being her student. So at the gym, she kind of turns him down too, but it was weak. She like, nah, but all the while she looking at the print, she looking at the body, she looking, you know what I'm saying? Like she looking. You know what I'm saying? You can almost see the drool coming out of her mouth. Okay, because she's staring looking. She for real, right? So later on in the night, she's lonely. She's by herself. She's trying to grade papers, yada, yada, yada. And so she's like, I'm going to be Masuo and do what I want to do, right? So she ends up calling that young man under that Masuo cap about her being in power and being in her own control. She calls the young man over. Now, the whole situation is she wants him to serve her sexually. That's the whole point. So she calls the boy, well, not the boy, he's a young man. She calls him over. He comes over. She opened the door. She's like, in like a robe or whatever. And she like, oh, well, I think it's a mistake. Why don't you leave? He was like, and he opened his shirt like, you don't want all this sexual chocolate. You call all this sexual chocolate over here now, you don't want a girl back. Yes, you do. Because you wouldn't have called me. I know what I did to you when I came to the gym and showed you this gray sweatpants swag. I know you was going to call. That's why you called. That's why I'm here. So let's get it on. So he wasn't even really trying to feel all that. This was her third, quote unquote, rebuff. He wasn't even, but I'm in your house now, half naked, girl, if you don't knock it off. So they get naked, they get in the bed. And this is the episode, the infamous episode where he basically invites her to eat his groceries. And so she doesn't do it, and then they don't have sex because he was supposed to come serve her, not the other way around. She had no intention of serving him sexually. That's why she was turned off. She wasn't turned off because he was inviting her to eat groceries. She was turned off because how dare he request pleasure out of her, that she serve him sexually and not be, crawling up all over on his knees trying to figure out what he can do for her first. And that's not to say he wouldn't have done it, but you gonna do me first. And she didn't like that. So she, put him out or whatever. All right. So it kind of ends on, the episode sort of ends on that note with her telling her friends about it. Once again, Angie pipes up like, why not? Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it? So all of her other girlfriends like, yeah, girl. Mm-mm. And so Angie was like, why wouldn't you do that? And so everybody looking at her like, you do that? She was like, why not? Because Angie do everything. So she's like, why wouldn't I do it? She's like, why not? You should have got yours. Like you should have got yours. Like you planned. You invited him over. You trying to straddle the fence of not being a 304, but doing 304 stuff. So if you basically, Angie's point was go all the way. If you're going to be a 304, if you're going to be a whore, do it. Stop being timid. You either a whore or you're not. But you going down whore paths, you making whore decisions. And then when the consequences come up, when it's time for you to act on it, now all of a sudden you prudish it and you got morals and you don't know what you're doing. Angie doesn't. Angie's the only one that doesn't have sexual cap like that. Angie is what she is. You can dislike it and think it's disgusting, which it is. But she's real with it, with that part of her. With that part of her, she's real. She do her own version of cap on her life. All of them do. But on that particular point, Angie embraces the fact that she's a whore. She knows she's a whore. She's proud of it. She doesn't care at all about what anybody think about her whore. She goes from dude to dude to dude. She likes it. Okay, she's a proud whore. She do not care. Angie do not care. So it kind of ends on that note, and it ends on Camille thinking back to Ian and all of that sort of thing. So they never really show in this episode the true ending between her and Ian. They don't show that till a few episodes down the line. So I won't spoil it. But she's really, you can tell that that's gonna be a theme throughout the season, her being hung up on Ian and how things ended. So I hope that you enjoyed this little breakdown, this little review of Harlem from a Black feminine perspective. Meet me back here again next week as we go over episode 2 of the show, and we dig into that. So sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.